After From Software's mega hit that was Elden Ring, they're now going back to their roots and revisiting the fan-favorite franchise Armored Core for an attempt to modernize the series with the knowledge they learnt and the developer power gained from making great games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. We are super excited to see where From Software takes the series, as the mecha genre has always created amazing genre-leading content, from awesome mind-bending series such as Evangelion to the behemoth that is Gundam, or even just being a major aspect of iconic games such as Metal Gear Solid. Even Attack on Titan, one of the most popular modern anime, has definitely taken a lot of inspiration from mechas, as the Titans are basically giant meat mechas. With all of this excitement though, fans of From Software games are confused by what to expect from Armored Core 6. It releases in 2023, so in today's video we're going to go through all of the details that you need to know, as the actual developers of the game have been talking about what we can expect from the game during a recent IGN interview. Going back to Armored Core is definitely a big change for some of the newer From Software fans, so we think it will be really interesting to know what your first ever From Software game was. The very first From Software game that we played was Armored Core 1 on the PlayStation UK magazine's demo disc for PlayStation 1. I wasn't a huge fan of it back then, but I liked it because of the giant mecha Unga Bunga style to it. So let me know down in the comments what your first From Software game was. But now let's jump into the spicy details. You might be wondering what the actual genre of Armored Core 6 is going to be, and it's a very important point. For those wondering, this new Armored Core game will play as a third-person action game. You have a focus on building and customizing your mech before going out on missions. The developers have said that they want to return to the spirit of the original games, and even though more recent Armored Core games have been heading more into a multiplayer-focused direction, this game is going to be predominantly single-player focused. Here's what Hidetaka Miyazaki has to say about returning to Armored Core. The essential direction of Armored Core 6 was going back and taking a good look at the core concept of Armored Core and what made the series special. They go on to explain that they wanted to make the assembly aspect, assembling and customizing your own mech, your AC, and then being able to exact a high level of control over the assembled mech that you've made. So we wanted to take these two core concepts and re-examine those in our modern environment. I'm super curious to see how they will adapt the customization aspect of the new game to the modern era, as creating builds for characters has become even more popular nowadays in gaming, so we can see a lot of people really getting into the nitty-gritty aspect of building the perfect mech and min-maxing the different attachments or customization options to get the perfect stats. When the game was first announced, a lot of speculation went around that the game would be a Souls-like title but set in the Armored Core universe for a futuristic spin on the Souls-like genre, but Miyazaki has confirmed that this will be an Armored Core game at heart first, and that they didn't actively push the game towards being a Souls-like title. In an interview he said, "No, we won't be making a conscious effort to try and direct it towards a more Souls-like type gameplay. First of all, let me make that clear." He did, however, go on to say that they will take their learnings from recent games and apply them to the new AC game, but they will retain the core gameplay of Armored Core. He goes on to say, "And of course, what that means is taking our know-how and experiences from game development in recent years and applying that knowledge to the development of Armored Core 6, and re-examining it together with those core concepts of Armored Core." So the real impetus of this project, I think, or at least one of the real appeals for me, comes from the aspect of assembly and being able to really freely assemble and customize the mech. While personally a futuristic Souls-like game in the Armored Core universe I think would be pretty cool, I'm still very happy with the focus and direction being on the mechs and our control and customization over them. To talk about some of the gameplay mechanics, however, we don't have a lot of details on this, but we do know that the game will feature some type of posture and counter mechanic that will allow players to remain aggressive. Here's what the developers have said on this. For this title, by continuing to attack even the strongest enemy, the force of impact can break the enemy's posture and inflict a large amount of damage, a critical hit. This is the starting point for the slow and fast speed change of the battle, and when combined with long-range firefighting and close-range melee combat, the enemy and his machine engage each other violently, creating a more aggressive and dynamic battle that only mechas can engage in. We think this sounds super cool, as breaking an enemy or boss's posture in a Souls-like game is one of the most satisfying things. But in a super fast mech, we can just imagine it being absolutely insane to pull off, and we can't wait to actually try this out for ourselves. Although the majority of weapons in the game will be ranged guns, the developers have said that the weaponry within the game will feature a range of melee options if players want to go down that route. Here's what they said. We have a variety of weapons for various ranges and various encounters, both in the two hands and the back, as well as missiles and cannons and things like that, but we wanted to put an emphasis on melee as well. So if players are this way inclined, we do have some nice melee options if they want to dive in there and get into close quarters combat as well. We're hoping that they will add some really visually cool looking melee weapons like beam swords, and it'll be interesting to see how different the weaponry will be and if it will have arts or special moves like recent From Software titles. After the massive open world that Elden Ring had, a lot of you are probably yearning for another massive open world game full of discovery, but this time around Armored Core will return to its mission-based structure, and so we don't muddle up the wording, here's what they said about this. To be clear, Armored Core 6 will feature a mission-based structure to the single player. It's not fully open, it's going to stick with that mission-based structure. However, the game will feature From Software's signature boss battles, which will make for some exciting gameplay in the mechs, and in the interview they actually went into a bit of detail about this, and we think it sounds pretty awesome. They said, it also gives From Software the chance to incorporate some of its signature elements, like its incredible boss battles. The boss battles are the highlight of the game in this title. Yamamura said in a separate statement, the essence of the battles, in which the player reads the enemy's moves and then plays games with them, is of course provided, as is typical of From Software. In this title, both the enemy and your own machine are aggressive and violent in their attacks. We are developing the game so that players can enjoy the dynamic and intense boss battles that only mechas can offer, along with the unique aspects of Armored Core, such as how to assemble the right parts to take on the strongest enemies. Overall, we think the game sounds like a nice change of pace from the Soulsborne formula, and personally for me as a mecha fan, I'm really excited to see how crazy From Software can take the mecha genre with this new title. If it all goes well, this game could really be something special. So if you enjoy these updates from us here on the channel, definitely click like to show support and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. The two videos on screen now we think you'll really enjoy if you found this video interesting or helpful. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you did enjoy this one, you should probably click the videos on screen now, and then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.